Okay, good morning. There is always a difficult question to know at what time do you start and how long we should wait, but out of respect for those that are here and that have not gotten lost, I think we should leave that door open. I think we should leave all the doors open, because already people are going to get lost. Anyhow, good morning. I'm Mark Goldberg. I'm going to be the chairman of the track today. And I want to spend some time before we jump into the discussion talking about sort of the roadmaps. What are we going to talk about? Why? And some ground rules for the day. We have an interesting series of speakers where actually there is some logic. We're going to talk about data and cloud, so technology infrastructure. We're going to talk about the Internet of Things and how it manifests itself at the technology layer, vertical application on health, what it means in terms of the Internet of Things as the extension of ourselves, both as an extension of our body, so we'll talk about biohacking, and also as an extension of our consciousness, and we'll talk about spirituality and technology. And then in a third part, we'll talk about investment opportunities. What does this all mean? Fundamentally, the whole point of getting together in the same place for a day is really to all touch base around one question, which is what has happened in the last year. And it's been really an interesting year from a technology development perspective. For me, the key things that has happened is the coming of age of AI and of deep learning, and on how that manifests itself in a lot of technology area. And so we're here to understand what has happened, questions all the experts that are going to present today, and try to extract the key learning of this year. And the problem with technology development and with technology acceleration is that we're always looking backward, what has happened last year, the year before, and the year before. And it's really difficult to understand where we are so we can then look forward. And as we know, technology accelerates in some exponential way. So when we look backward, everything looks linear. And when we look forward, the extrapolation of this linearity absolutely does not work to understand where we're going next year and the year after. And so really the topic is to touch base on what's new in each of those key areas, moving from infrastructure, data, technology, cloud, the legal implication, to IoT in all its form and shapes, into, from an investment perspective, what does that mean? Any question that you have? We have a lot of technology here that we might use or not use. I'm a tech guy, actually. I like low-tech stuff. And so there is an app. There is an app for something. So there is an app for the event. You can post your questions. Your question will make its way to a queue. We'll put the question on the whiteboard, and then we'll use that as a way to feed your question into the speaker, or you can just raise your hand. Some of the session will have questions during the session. Some of the question will have questions after, and we will not take any interruption. And let's try to make that as interactive and get to know each other, so then we can continue with the discussion tonight around some drinks. So that's the roadmap. Interactive. There is a thread that we're going to follow. There is some logic to this madness. And we're going to start with the first speaker, who is Meagen Eisenberg from MongoDB. And Meagen, the floor is yours.
I just need a clicker.
And I will take the liberty to interrupt you.
Yeah.
If I want.
Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for breaking away from the main stage to spend some time with me. My name is Meagen Eisenberg. I'm the CMO of MongoDB. I joined about 10 months ago, and I'm pretty excited to be here to talk to you a little bit about the partnership between the CMO and the CIO, very similar to some of the tweets I'm seeing from Igor downstairs. So I need a tutorial, I think. Is this the right one? Yes. Yeah, no, I mean, yes, left, okay, right, left. Sorry. I'm hitting this arrow on the right. I could do that, but I would rather entertain with some slides. Try again? All right, great. So some more background on myself. Before I joined MongoDB, I was at DocuSign. I joined when there was about 150 people, and we grew to 1,200. I was there for about 3.5 years, and our platform had about 13 million people on it, and it grew to 50 million. And then I was, prior to that, other enterprise software companies. On my spare kind of hobby free time, I am an advisor to startups, several of them on the right. And I enjoy that because it helps me keep on top of new trends and what people are doing with not a lot of money. MongoDB is open source modern database. We have a thriving community. We just launched an app online that you can download if you want to learn more, take classes, all of that's free. But let's dive in. So it used to be that the heroes of marketing were like Don Draper. They were great storytellers, and his Mad Men colleagues. Really, all you had to do in marketing was tell a great story, tell people about your product, and they were driven to buy. As a marketer, you were really in control. You had control of the channel, you had control of the product, and you had control of the message. But that's really been upended and changed, and really the consumer now is in control. And we know this because of the technology that's out there and the proliferation of these connected devices. And this demanding consumer really wants to be connected, and everything needs to be in real time. My CEO, actually, David Echeria, often says that slow is the new down. And you know, we have this expectation that we need instant gratification and we need relevancy. We don't want mass marketing. We want it tailored to me at just the right time when I want to buy it. And I want the best service with the best value, and of course at the lowest price. And we have Amazon to thank for making transparency across the internet with all the pricing that's out there. They have free shipping and gratuitous return policies. And along with this empowered consumer is the amount of information that they're putting out there. This is just a list of things that they throw out there, but there's volumes and volumes of data. And as marketers, we're somewhat on the hook for creating this oceans of data because we've created great content that people like to engage with. We're obsessed with our devices. We're tweeting. We're on social. We're doing all these things. And as marketers and as companies, if we want to deliver on a better customer experience, we have to collect that data. And we know this whole, big data, everything that's out there, even the experts can't agree how much that is. Is it 44 zettabytes or is it 400 zettabytes in the next year? In fact, a Boeing 787 puts out more than 40 terabytes of data in 1 hour of flight. I mean, it's just insane. If I think about Don Draper, this definitely would have made his head spin with the volume and variety of data that's out there. Oh, I skipped one. And so that's why the heroes of today are not Don Draper, but they're Hillary Mason. And why? She's a data scientist. In fact, she's the ex-chief data scientist at Bitly, and she left to start her own company called Fast Forward Labs, and she actually helps companies figure out their big data strategy. Because we know it's not enough to tell a great story like Don Draper was tasked with, but we actually need to read the data tea leaves. We need to understand what our customers want. And then, because there's so much data out there, which we just talked about, we have to be technologists. So we have to be data scientists, we have to be technologists, and we have to be great storytellers. And that's why we need Hillary Mason in our pocket to tell a better story, to read the data that's out there, and to deliver that customer experience. If I think about my stack, my marketing stack, this is DocuSign, and the transformation that it went through from 2012 to 2015. And we started with 1 or 2 pieces of technology, and we ended up with more than 18. And this is just to talk with our customers as they come into our website, they fill out their forms, and they go through the funnel. And if I think about the typical funnel and what I'm tasked with as a marketer, I need to attract the prospect, I need to engage with them, and I need to keep them, and there's so many things along that journey that I need to know about them in order to deliver that customer experience. And in fact, if I took all those technologies, I put them across the funnel, some of those go throughout the whole funnel. Some are very specific through that. And that's, I need to be a technologist to do this. So if that's my marketing stack, now as a company, we need to be able to deliver a modern customer experience. And there's some basic things we need in place in order to do that. One, we need to have our product or our application that interacts with our customer real time. So what does that mean? That means it can't just be a laptop. I'm mobile. They say 57% of us execs look at our email on the road. So that means when we design something to interact, it can't just look good on the laptop. We know it needs to be on the mobile device, the iPad, the iPhone, in order to get their attention. It's got to be across all these different devices. DocuSign was electronic signature. We knew a lot of times when it came down to the wire, the deal getting signed until midnight that quarter, you might have been at home, you might have been on vacation, you might have been out on a boat. As long as you had internet connection, you could sign anywhere. And then, of course, I was lucky enough about a year ago to sit down at Google and listen to Ivy Ross speak. And she's the lead on Google Glass and reinventing it. And she really talked about the new experience with our customers, and some stores are even testing this, is when we walk in through Google Glass, they will know immediately who we are. They will know our buying preferences, our size, what they could offer us to complement our past purchases, and they'll create this environment and this experience that's very welcoming, and in turn, we'll spend more money with them. In fact, Virgin is doing this with their highest end customers. As soon as you step out of your car, they're there to welcome you on the curb. They tell you about the flight, they take your bags, they make sure you know the weather where you're going, the events that are going on, and they just create this concierge experience. And we need to create that experience with our customers, whether it's online or in person, a very concierge-like experience. And contextually relevant. If we look at Amazon, when we go to buy, 30% of their revenue actually comes from the recommendations engine. 30%. And the way they recommend is they understand your buying behavior. In fact, they know where you live and they know where your neighbor lives. And as your neighbor buys things, they know that you're going to try and keep up with them. And therefore, they're going to recommend things your neighbors have bought. And of course, because of this ability that we have to collect all this data, we have to understand this technology, marketers and companies are evolving. And if we don't evolve, we die. And if we don't know how to do it, we then need to partner with our IT colleagues or the CIO. And to do this, we see the trends from Gartner. They've already occurred. They said budget would shift and the CMO would have more than the CIO. This certainly exists today. And so the CIOs are smart. They see this happening, and they don't want to just work on supporting phones and your web mobile conferences. They want to be where the innovation is, and the innovation is with your customer. That's how you're transforming your industry, and you're leapfrogging, is you're creating this amazing customer experience. And with that, your success is when the marketer and the companies become and use data. They're technologists, and they tell great stories because of the three forces of the CMO-CIO alignment, the demanding customer, and of course, big data. And so I'm just going to go through a couple case studies of companies that I think are really transforming their businesses because they've understood this trend. Bosch, you should be familiar. I know I have a Bosch dishwasher. Many of you probably have Bosch products. They are really on the forefront of Internet of Things. And they do more than that. They do manufacturing. They're making cars and planes. And they've done a really good job to collect every bit of information to make the manufacturing floor a lot more productive. They can easily find their tools. Their level of quality is much higher because they tighten the screw or whatever that is exactly to what it should be. And so because of the use and understanding of data, they produce a higher quality product, which reduces recall, which makes their manufacturing floor a lot more efficient. How about customer service? MetLife, we don't really think of insurance companies as being too transformative, but MetLife went through a very big transformation. When you called in, they used to have 70 different databases that your rep would have to go through to answer your questions, and they just weren't that fast. It wasn't that great of an experience. And so they wanted to deliver something that only would train their reps a lot better, but would be a better on-phone experience. And they made a project of one view of the truth, where they consolidated all this data into one database. They called it the wall. When I was a rep, I got on all of your relevant information was on this wall. You called in, and I could easily answer your questions and deliver on that instant gratification and experience. How about baby monitoring? I'm actually a mother of 3. I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 15-month-old, and I've certainly seen this transform over the last 6 years, where yes, I had a video, but now I have Nest and I can look on my phone and see. And in fact, last night, or 4 in the morning, really, my last night, I was looking at Nest and I could see my kids dancing and having dinner back in California. And it's amazing what we can do now, but this is like the Fitbit for babies. You know, every mother has that terror that their child's not breathing or something's going on, the temperature's not right, whatever that is. This actually tells you, yes, your child's breathing. It can even tell you the mood of the child, if they're about to wake up. It's amazing what you can do now with these devices. And how about investing? Charles Schwab has certainly done an interesting job with their new app. It's really, I think, democratized investment. It's allowed for a minimum entry. It's taken out the middleman to pay someone to make your changes, $5,000 investment. They say on their advertising, in less time that it takes to make a cup of coffee, you can sign up and start rebalancing your portfolio without paying fees. It's that instant gratification. And takeout, I don't know about what you have here and in Europe, but certainly in New York they have Seamless. In California they have DoorDash. This has made my life as a mother much easier. I go online before I leave work. I order something. They deliver it exactly when I need them to. I don't have to deal with money. If I'm late, my husband has it. It's at the front door. My kids can eat. The nanny can pick it up. It's really very easy. They've allowed me to be an executive and a working mother, and they've, delivered it on time and in the right way for me. And flying. I have to say, most recently, I never appreciated United's new app as much as I do now. On the way over here, my flight was delayed. I was on the upgrade list. I couldn't see where I was. And United, because I was going through Lufthansa, I had to download the Lufthansa app, and it wasn't set up the same way. And they wouldn't give me any information. I was waiting in these long lines. And, the companies that give you this information where I can quickly switch seats, I can see if I'm going to get upgraded, I can see where other flights are, I am going to go to that experience. I don't have time to waste trying to get information from people. I want it in real time, I want it now, and I need a better experience. And lastly, dating. This guy, I Won't Murder You, is his name on here. As a mother of 3 girls, I can't believe the renaissance and what we've gone through on dating. Certainly, when I met my husband 10 years ago, I think Match.com had just come out. I did not meet him through Match, but I think about how this is transformed with Tinder and Grindr. I mean, they use geospatial data now. It's not just going online and filling out a profile. They know where you are, where the other person's located, and you match up. Hopefully my children won't discover this till they're like 30, and then I'm even more worried about what's going to be here 20 years from now if this is what's happening now. So yes, please deliver a better customer experience, but stay away from my girls. So really, those are examples of companies that have transformed their businesses around the customer and the engagement and the empowered customer, and they've even transformed their industry. And these are the basic table stakes: effortless experience, they anticipate our needs, provide instant gratification, really remove the friction. One of our board members, Kevin Ryan, he's very active in the tech community and Guilt Group and others. He says if you looked 5 years ago at Craigslist, if you're not familiar with Craigslist, it's not a very good interface, but you can buy and sell things on it, you can rent things. If you just took categories off that and you could create a business, let's say Airbnb, Care.com, Urban Sitter, all these sites have done this, and now, Craigslist is losing that business to a much better experience online, and those businesses are doing amazing because they've figured this out. And they have the DNA of the modern app, which is, this concept of collecting all that data. This morning, they really talked a lot about there's so much data out there. You can, you might not know what to do with it, but are you collecting it now so you can use it in the future, and this is your advantage? Are you writing the right algorithms? Do you have a real-time architecture? Is it elastic? Look at Snapchat. They announced they have, I think it was 200 million users in a month accessing that platform. What does it take to support 200 million users? And if we look at some of these others, 1 million a day, it blows me away. And Mark, I think it was Mark that was talking about the open stack. You know, this might not be in marketers' vocabulary, but it's certainly in the tech vocabulary, and we should be familiar with it across no matter where you are in the line of business, because this is the way of the future with all this data, you know, leveraging the open stack. You know, are you building in the cloud with Amazon? Open source, of course, is part of the open stack methodology. Node.js is for networked applications. Docker was highlighted this morning. When you think about distributed applications, Hadoop is probably something most of you are familiar with, really looking at static data and running analysis of it. And I think the new kind of hip thing really is Spark. It's displacing MapReduce. And IBM's put a lot of work behind it. They've put 3,500 engineers at it, and I think they're doing for Spark what they did for Linux. And so, you know, in partnering, if you don't know this technology, it's a perfect way if you're in marketing to partner with your tech colleague. But the true value of delivering customer experience is when you take that CMO who really knows the story and the customer, and you take that tech, or you invest in technology education, and you marry those together, and you can deliver a modern customer experience. So thank you for your time, and appreciate you coming
Any
out.
question from the audience? Otherwise, I have one question. Anybody want to jump in? Okay, so yes, no, no. So my question is,
Yes.
what is the thing that surprised you in the last 12 months? That you know, that you saw happening that you didn't expect, and it can be a nice surprise or a bad surprise. You know, when you look back, what's the thing that you thought, wow, you know, this is interesting, it's surprising, I didn't expect that.
I think there's a lot of trend around containerization. I think Docker's on a interesting trend there. I think just on the from a marketing standpoint and social, how social developers are, how there's this whole trend. Obviously, we know video and interacting, and people like watching TV, but even animated GIFs. You know, we're seeing them all over.
Yeah.
Even Hillary Clinton on the trail was like putting an animate. I'm sure she wasn't doing it, but someone on her staff was putting it out there. And people just have this amazing sense of humor, and just the way that we're communicating through social channels and really leveraging entertainment.
Yeah, I think animated GIF is interesting because it's something that nobody was really playing with mainstream, I would say 6 months, 9 months ago, and now it's everywhere.
Yes, yeah, I myself had
and
to
some
learn
of them
it.
are really funny. And
They
stupid.
are. Well, even email communication on my team, MongoDB has this amazing culture and sense of humor. People will send an email out, and then someone will send an animated GIF back, and it'll be like this animated GIF war, and it's fun. It's fun, you know. It's good. I think that businesses should be fun and entertaining while you work really hard.
Cool. Meagen, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes. Can you tell us who you are and what you're doing? Okay, cool.
Oh, yes, with Amazon, yes.
Also,
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that Amazon's done a brilliant, you know, job. I mean, they know so much about us. They probably know that you're cheating on your spouse if you're cheating on your spouse. So if all of a sudden you order lingerie for someone that doesn't live at your house and it goes to someone else's house, I mean, they know a lot.
That was a present.
It was a present, yes.
I'm interested to understand, like, where do you see this going? Because I'm working with some startups across Europe that are addressing exactly this
Yes.
customer advocacy thing and neighborhood thing, which I think is like, this is what I'm looking at as something where the Amazon written reviews could develop into.
Yeah, well, I mean, I
Specifically,
certainly think in the kind of customer space, there's a lot of great technologies like Gainsight that is looking at your customer behavior. From an advocacy standpoint, Influitive, they have these cool hubs where you can put your customers in there and they gamify it to get them to be, to do.
Sorry.
It's called Influitive. It's a Canadian company,
Okay.
and they create these customer advocacy hubs, and it's great. I mean, we use it at MongoDB, and it's a way to get your customers excited, to get them to blog for points, to be social for you, to speak at engagements.
Yeah, and another example, there's an Israeli company called Captain Dash, who is trying exactly
Captain Dash.
to do the same thing. 30 seconds, there are a lot of NoSQL company. Why should we choose MongoDB?
There are lots of no SQL companies. Well, because we are definitely at the largest out there in the NoSQL world as far as customer implementations and success. Scalability, we just launched, or about to launch 3.2, but we have interchangeable storage engines, and we're probably the best at using geospatial data.
Perfect. We'll stop here. More questions we'll take after during the drinks tonight.